Alrighty. This is actually an exciting time for us. Many of you may not be aware, but before Pastor Wendy and I came from overseas, we were in Southeast Asia. That was kind of where our stomping grounds was at from the, I'd say, early to mid-90s when I was originally released and sent into ministry into Southeast Asia and the various nations of the world. It was helping my pastor in a missions movement that took large traction. In fact, it was one of the biggest Pentecostal outreaches of missionaries in American history. Many are unaware of that. And I was part of that releasing of the sending. And we pretty much went forth and we built Bible colleges, internships. And it was one of those things in which after graduation, I seen the importance of it. And there is a scriptural precedent, of course. It's Jesus. He said, "Come follow me, and then I'll make you a fisher of men." So there was closeness of proximity. Jesus didn't just show up with his disciples and say, "Oh, glad you 12 are here. Why don't you sit down for 45 minutes, listen to my sermons, and then sayonara. We'll see you next week." There had to be close proximity because in teaching, you can't bring correction in certain areas. You have to be in doing life together. This is why we're a church that believes in doing life together. You don't just attend a church, you're added to the church. And there's a different type of a mindset. And unfortunately, in American culture, we have an attendance type of a mindset rather than an adding type of a mindset that the early church had. The Apostle Paul himself, and when you read in Acts chapter 19, when he began to establish, before he actually established the church at Ephesus, it says that he took aside the believers that were there, and what did he do? He set up at the school of Tyrannus. And for 3 years, he began to instruct the believers. And this would have been the foundation of the church at Ephesus in which he pens his letters to. In other words, they would have been in close proximity. So close and so effective was that marvelous, magnificent, mighty gift that wrote 2/3 of the New Testament that for the most part, after 3 years, he could leave the church and continue on his church planting throughout the Gentile world. Shows you the power of a mindset of being added to the local church. And as a pastor who helped assist in building Bible colleges overseas in the Philippines, as well as we had in Nepal, in Mongolia, even on the continent of Africa. I personally did not assist in that one, but there was an outreach in which we were establishing Bible colleges in order for the purpose of raising up disciples. In fact, I always tell, and for those of you who've heard this, you know this to be the truth, that was one of the things that disenfranchised me as a pastor coming here, is spending 45 minutes delivering a sermon, but I didn't see the accelerated transformation. I grew up in a culture of missions in which, in helping birth Bible colleges, you're in proximity doing life with interns that are actually resident. They're there. So you're there saying, "Hey, why is your room a mess? It looks like the sitcom Hoarders. We're not hoarders here. You're Christians. Let's get rid of this. Let's clean this up. What do you need this for? How come you got, crackers under there? It looks like bugs are getting to it," and things like that. And you have to call. And all that part is discipleship. We don't think of it, and you don't get things like that. Your life is not changed because someone tells you in the sermon that you should clean up. Because according to them, they look like it's clean, but it's not clean. So they need people in close proximity and accountability to do simple things, as I just illustrated to you, to bring checks and balances and accountability to bring change and transformation. And so living in that to where you're with them 5 days a week. How many know that's a long time? That's more than once a week in a 45-minute sermon by which you meet and greet and say, "Hi, hope to see you next week." There has to be that amount of time, and that's what Jesus did with his disciples. They traveled with him. He's the one who began to instruct them and tell them things, not just in sermons, but in close proximity of them. This is what would have happened with the Apostle Paul. This is why he moved not as a solo missionary, but he moved in teams. Because the teams that he raised up were people that he was doing life with. These became what he called his spiritual sons and daughters. This is why in the church, this is a foreign concept. We usually have the clergy, and I'm a church member. When you say, "Well, this is my spiritual son," they go, "That must be a cult." No, it's actually in the Bible. Come on, are you here? It shows you that Christian American culture has framed it away from what it means in the Bible to have a biblical model of a church, of being added to the church, not just attending the church. And so we had a privilege even in the infancy of this church when we only had really a handful of people. I don't know, maybe 50, 60 people within the house of God doing one service. Probably not, she says, not even that. And we felt so strongly, you know what, we need to do it. And I thought, and I always knew I was going to start an internship, but I thought it was like when you have a church of 500 or 1,000 and you give it to a pastor and that type of thing. But when we felt it so strong, do it now, we're like, do it now? We don't need it now. We're going to get one person to come. And so we ended up having about a dozen people. Is that correct? About a dozen people, the number that Jesus had, that were our guinea pigs, in which we trained them up and began to meet. And the Spirit of God spoke to me and said, this is going to be the foundation of your church. Of course, that was running successfully year after year until we had so many people that were in the house of God, but they weren't the young ones by which they could dedicate themselves 5 days a week and then 3 days a week and give most of their days. They had careers that they were involved with. They were in a different life stage in which they couldn't give themselves, yet they were hungry. And so after we shut it down due to COVID and that type of thing, we began to resume it. We saw that there was a need, that there were so many that said, Pastor, you know, we're in a different life stage, but we can't commit to these things because they have responsibilities, and that's understandable. But they wanted to be trained for ministry. They wanted that imprint of a spiritual DNA of Freedom House upon their life. And so we began to organize and begin to do certain things because we wanted to assimilate them into that so that it's one, not two. Because sometimes in the church, it can be, it's the school and it's the church, and we want it to become one, not two. Because in the church, it needs to be one. And so this batch that we have right now are those, and it's a lot slower of a process, but we believe that God has just begun something new, and the Spirit of God spoke to me and said, this will be your next batch. They won't form the leadership, but they're the ones that will be part of the missions that establishes as we begin to go out. We already got word. We got Mexico's open up to us. We just came back from Trinidad not too long ago, and I'm believing South America. The Lord's already been speaking to me in different places. It's not just going to be in the Far East where our stomping grounds with. I believe God has given us this hemisphere, which I like it because that's better on the pocketbook. It's a lot cheaper to go to Mexico City than to fly over to Mongolia. Come on, are you here? And for all my Mongolian friends that may be watching, no, we'll still go. We're going to have to believe God, but I like it's a little bit more easier on the body when you're 53. It's easy when you're 23, you're excited about it, but when you're 53, you feel aches and pains and things like that. So, but we need to do that so we can raise up an army from the West Coast of California to send you into the nations of the world. And listen, our nation needs new schools in general. I don't know if you're aware of this, and let me just go through this. I know you guys are standing here, just let me go a little bit further. You know, many of our Ivy League institutions, I don't know if you're aware of that, but the founders in the original intent actually raised up ministers of the gospel. Are you aware of that? You know, you have places like Oxford and Cambridge and the King's College. How many have heard of the King's College? Well, it was called the King's College. This was before our Declaration of Independence from the King. And so I think they probably looked and said, we're probably not going to get a lot of students if it's called the King's College. So can we kick this down to marketing? And why don't we call it Columbia? And so they renamed it, and it was called Columbia. And how about Brown or Harvard? How about Princeton? I don't know if you're aware of it. And then many of those became training institutions, especially if you look into early church American history. We had two Great Awakenings. And within the Great Awakenings, where would they go to get trained? They get trained in what we call Ivy League institution. But again, in original intent. It's always amazing when man gets his wicked little fingerprints all over something. It falls far from original intent. We need to return to original intent, and I think the way that God does it is he just raises up a new people. You say, well, can't God change it? Usually they can't, because God can't even get into it, because he restricts them and bars them off. So God says, you know, let's just raise up a new group of people, and this is how church history you'll see. It's like God can't get into those things, so let's just raise up. So we need new schools, especially in this dire time, because it's insufficient, the theological training centers, to meet the needs of this generation. And it doesn't take a rocket scientist to recognize that church as usual that is being done is not going to be able to meet the needs of what you see in popular culture today. Can't do church as usual. And so there needs to be new schools. And I'm not just talking about theological trainings. I'm just talking about, how about moral schools? You see the radicalization of the various departments of even our government systems, the radicalizations. The Department of Education has become like a cult pushing their issues. It's a cult, and it's infiltrated even into the church. You got the FBI that's been radicalized against just conservative, regular blue-collar workers that are good in their morals, middle America, if you will. And when you see all these things, we need a move of God, and part of a move of God is that there are new schools and new theological training layers. We need new, if you will, what is called Ivy League, but according to the original intent of what the founders meant. It's always been within the heart of Christians to raise up, and more than ever before, we can't send them back to these crazy schools. We need new schools, and everyone in agreement says. So with that, we want to bring a recognition and an honor for those. And all this is a certification of completion. Again, it takes a lot longer. Within 2 years, you can cram it and get it in there and bring change, just like Jesus did in 3 years. I find that amazing that we send people to theological training schools for 8 years, say that you're a doctor, but Jesus had the ability to do it in 3 years because he was much more effective than our theological training centers today. School of Tyrannus, 2-3 years. Paul's gone, and they become that. And so this is why we have to understand that the way things were done in the scripture is different. We're a spiritual school with an academic support. We're not an academic school with a spiritual touch. Did you hear what I said? This is where transformation comes, when it's set that way. It's a school of the Spirit, a school of Jesus that we've created to give the fundamentals and the necessities and the tools to train and be set free yourself, live free yourself, and then set others free. And everyone says. So with that, I want my wife to give a few words before we bring people forth. You got that, babe? You don't want to?
I'm good.
She's good. All right.
You already said everything.
I said everything. I'm a big mouth. So with that, I also want to bring an acknowledgement to Teacher Chan. Just as you call me pastor, and I'm so privileged to be your pastor, and I consider it a great honor. We call him teacher because he stands in the office of a teacher. Yes. And I jokingly said this with the first. You say, how do you know someone's a teacher? When you listen to him, you feel dumb about the Bible afterwards. Isn't it true? You're like, where did you get that? It's not like deep as in it's heretical. Like in deep, it's biblical solid. And like, how did you get that? It's because what it does is it brings edification. It has spiritual impartation. And then your brain goes, whoa, that was wild. And your brain has to catch up to spiritual realities. In America, we don't like it. We turn it upside down, and we want to educate the mind, and hopefully the spirit will get touched. Right. And this is because Americans like to be in control through logic. Right. Like a miracle. Like, I don't get it. I know it wasn't meant for your brain. Your brain just has to catch up with the realities, spiritual realities. Come on, are you here? And so I want to thank you personally. He is the director. That's his official title, is FhI director. And so we appreciate it. He was our first victims going through it himself, and has become a part of our leadership as well as the intern. So please.
Thank you, Pastor. I love you guys. So we have a few different categories here. Now, usually the internship would be something where you start and you commit to an entire program for 1 or 2 years. But because we wanted to make it available for those, listen, we had some people who came in partway through and said, we are so hungry, we want to be trained, we want to be raised up, and we wanted to make it available for them to come in partway through. So we had it one course at a time. So we have different levels of certification according to the number of courses that these interns have taken. So we want to begin by honoring our course completion certificates, and we have 2. Can I have Peter and Pam Dendrinos please come up for completing the Spirit Life course?
Move this over for me, please, a little. You can put it right here. We give hugs to everybody here. All right. Pamela. Peter. All right. So we got pictures over here. Come get real close, shoulder to shoulder. There we go. There you go. All right. Congratulations. Love you guys.
So, just so you all know, they were like the newest Freedom House members, pretty much. And then as soon as I got her there, we want to do the internship. And she was literally like 8 months pregnant or something like that, and decided I'm doing it anyway. And she finished her first course, which was Spirit Life, and so that was amazing. I'm like, so, and they don't live close by. They're traveling from San Jose.
San Jose. Oh. Santa Clara group out there.
So we call our San Jose group out there. They're Connect, and so we're just really proud of you guys making the trek, and even with, the baby and everything.
Yeah.
So
give them a hand.
Love you.
In fact, it's with them. I was like, wait a minute. They're not even members of the church. Can we do that? And, let's just fast track them. They're hungry. So it's not meeting necessarily all these criteria. What's the criteria? Hunger. And so they showed qualifications and certain things for the short time that they've been here. And so we're very proud of you, and we really appreciate your contribution to the house of God.
Next, we have our honorary certificate recipients. These are those who've completed 3 or more courses in the internship. Can I please have Israel Frias?
Yeah. Congratulations, brother. You can call him Smith Wigglesworth. You know Smith Wigglesworth, I don't know if you're aware of it, he was a plumber before, and he's a plumber. Come over here, brother. Come a little closer. Come over here. There we go. Good. All right. Congratulations.
Uriah and Joy Aldaco.
Woo-hoo! We call them the cutesy couple. They're part of the Connect that's there over in San Jose, the Davises, who we also call the cutesy couple. Here you go, Joy. Love you guys. Let's get a pic, man. All right. Bless you guys. Love you guys.
Next, can I have Sean Freeze?
Yeah. There's this. Give me a hug, brother. Absolutely. Love you, man. Proud of you. Let's get a picture with you. Hold that up. Love you, brother. Absolutely.
Can I have Steve Kaiser?
Yeah! Ho, 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 ho. Give me a hug, brother. Proud of you, man. All right. Let's get a pic, man. Come over here closer. Good job. Absolutely. Love you too, man. Give him a hand. Yeah.
All right, this next one is part of the Distinguished Certificate to complete 5 or more courses. Can I have Lane Shirley?
Lane. And yes, I intentionally am going to embarrass Mom Kim. There she is right there. Must be proud. Give me a hug, dude. All right. Love you, man.
I just want to say, one day I walked in the church one Sunday morning and I see this young man and I'm like, is that Lane? He showed up at the church. I don't even know how long ago it was, maybe a year. 2021. So literally where we first moved,
Yeah.
the apartment at the Adobe, he was like a little kid running around with his little gun.
His little rifle.
All over the place with his camo. I knew him since he was little, and then I hadn't seen him for years because we moved away. And then all of a sudden I come to church and there he is, and then he gets plugged in, he gets in the Connect group, we start serving, and then all of a sudden he's in the internship, and there he is. So.
I was like, this is Lane. Wow. So, yeah. All right.
Now this next group, this is our advanced certificate. This is for those who've completed 8 or more courses in the internship. Can I have Gianna Emmy?
Gianna! There we go. Here. There you go. Here, come over here. All right. Good job. Good job. Josiah, assist people helping them down. All right.
All right, Linda Bucci.
We'll get a hug after the picture there. All right. Congratulations. Bless you. All right. Give her a hand.
Next, can I have Jennifer Fries?
Yeah. She's quiet, but she's a tiger. Hug, hug, hug. Good job, good job.
Can I have Pam Duran?
Pam. Woohoo. Yeah. Come over here a little bit closer. Bring her a little closer. That's good. Just every once in a while. All right. Congratulations. Love you. Bye-bye.
Susan Sebastian.
Woohoo! Congratulations. Good job.
Soraya Juarez.
Good job. Good job. There you go.
And Alexis Robles.
Good job, girl. All right.
I'd also like to take a quick moment to acknowledge we had a few people who helped to make the internship run. It wasn't just us. We had a few people. Can I have Jody McFate just stand? She was our registrar. Thank you so much for all of your help. She was like an assistant to me, did so much work. I really appreciate it. Can I have Humberto Juarez? Where is he? He's in there.
Where's he at? Oh, okay.
He's inside the box.
He's inside the box.
Faithfully serving the house of God. He was a teaching assistant to me. He would help grade papers and organize assignments, so thank you so much, Humbo. Can I also have Danny Valencia? Danny helped to coordinate our MOP squad and facilities project, so thank you so much for assisting with that. Really appreciate you guys. Couldn't have done it without y'all.
All right. Give him a final hand. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you, brother.